In this video, I'm going to show you how to do stock price research and analysis with GPT-4's browsing extension, which is in beta right now. So take everything you see here with a grain of salt. It'll probably get better. Now, what I'm going to use is the voice prompter here. I'm going to fire off a prompt here, and I'm going to say, hey, can you go ahead and get me the last 30 days of Microsoft stock data, and then give me any relevant news about Microsoft's stock trends or any sort of business news that's particularly significant to their stock trading. Also, keep in mind that if you have any trouble scraping this data from the web, you can just give me any sort of text that you find within the web pages on any news page. Just contextualize it and then just give me any sort of highlights on the pricing or any of the CEO or key employee movement, and then give me an overall rating on where you think the stock is going and a prediction on the next 30 days and where you think the stock price will be at. So it's a pretty big ask, but what it's going to do is it's going to initiate this. We're going to be able to see where it goes. There's a lot of steps in here, so it's probably going to go through and prompt several different web interactions, is I think what I'm calling them now. So it's going to go see what's going on with the stock price, go look for news. Then it's going to go back, and then the GPT logic is going to contextualize all of that to sort of try to answer the questions that I've thrown at it here. So sometimes one thing to keep in mind is that it does fail to have successful interactions with some of these pages. And what you can do is whenever you have a site that is continually just not working for ChatGPT, you can sort of tell it, you can write down sort of a list in a notepad or some sort of document, and you can say, hey, like, don't go looking for these sites, look for other sites. And then maybe it will have more success depending on how those web interfaces provide data. All right, so it's giving us some information back. So it's giving us the closing price for yesterday and then the fluctuation. And then it's saying that there's been success in the AI market. So that's great. What's cool here is it provides the citations. If you click these, they'll just open up. There's some strength in the cloud market. Revenue up 7% year over year. Net income rose 9%. But there was a decline in personal computing. Now we can kind of read through all of this. Now it's saying explicitly that it can't predict future stock prices, and it won't give financial advice. That's okay. I do like this summary it gives where it says that the performance is strong in AI, but less so in the PC market. So we have this breakdown here. So what we could do is we could ask it to do some sort of analysis against another stock. So I could say, can you take all the information that you just learned and then compare Microsoft against Apple, and then tell me which company is seeing better net income over the past 2 years? And can you also tell me which company is doing better in AI? And then can you also tell me which company between Apple and Microsoft is doing better in the PC market? So we'll see what it does with that. And basically whenever it comes back with a return, my hope is that we're going to have something that we can ask it to put into a table. So I want it to compare Apple against Microsoft directly and then tell me explicitly why. So see, it's going through and doing the same process on Apple. And so pretty fast. It's breaking down Microsoft's strengths, essentially answers to the question. Now, it's saying that it ran out of time before it could gather the corresponding information on Apple. And it says, if you would like, I can continue the search. And so I could say, please continue the search. And then we'll see it probably just go right back to doing that same thing. So what's interesting is that it actually went through and hit a number of apple.com sites. And then we have a lot of these reading content failed. Now, what we can do is we could actually tell it to not look at Apple anymore. And we could say, because I think what it is Apple doesn't want automated bots going and scraping its content. So what I could tell it is I could say, for Apple, do not try and look at any apple.com links. Instead, go look at news or earnings reports or other financial news sources or other financial data sites. Don't be scared to look at some of the less authoritative sites and pull the data to do your analysis from those. So we'll see if ultimately, when it initiates this other check in the browser for the Apple Q1 earnings report, it went straight to Apple again. And so what we'll do is we'll see if we can try to change our prompt to be very explicit, to be like, hey, don't worry about Apple. But maybe what it did here is it might have actually found something worth looking at. So we'll just see what it does when it resolves. So what I'm actually going to do, because that was also not successful, is be explicit with my initial prompt and then at the end say, do not use apple.com as a search source, use other websites. So maybe beta responds to this at this time and maybe it doesn't. And maybe I've seen like even finished models fail to actually like listen when you tell it explicitly in a prompt to not use this. It's like right now it looks like it is going to other things or other sources other than Apple. So I think that did the trick. And if it really didn't, I would put in like www.apple.com or like I put the full URL so that way it would not look at it at all. So see, we're getting News Corp and Wall Street Journal and this site called Big Charts, and so we are not getting failure messages in here, which is a good thing because that means it's collecting data. Eventually, it will think and consolidate that, and it should give us some information at the end of this prompt. All right, so the prompt that it gave back, even though it went through and it looked at a bunch of things, it actually said, hey, I'm going to hold back because I couldn't actually go to Apple's website and get the net income and revenue from Apple statements on their website. Now, it did give some broad information about Apple versus Microsoft, but it went back down and reiterated that for Apple, because I was unable to find detailed financial data, basically because you said that I couldn't use apple.com as a source. So that's pretty honest. That's one really cool thing is that it didn't just go make something up, which is one flaw in these models, is that sometimes when they can't accomplish what you want, they will just go make things up. So just as an experiment, one more time, what I'll try is I will tell it another prompt. I'll say, even though you weren't able to use apple.com as a source and the sites that you looked at other than apple.com didn't yield the data that you needed, please go ahead and run another query to try and find the financial data on Apple to find the year-over-year net. You should be able to find it somewhere on the internet. If the websites that you looked in last time did not give you that data, do not look at those websites again. This time, look at all new web sources and then take all the text they give you and then parse it to understand what the financial picture is of Apple. So we'll see if that works. I'd be very interested to see how this one works out. Find out here in a second. All right, so we just did get some information back. Now it went to macro trends for almost all of this. This is kind of interesting to see how it either does or doesn't lean into certain sources for its web searches. So I think that's going to be something that gets worked out of the beta long term. Now, it didn't pull net, but it pulled growth since March 2023, and it was breaking down its advancements with AI, and then we had a network error. So if anything happens like this, just hit regenerate response. It should just fire over again, or just refresh the browser, and it should work. But all, I think this is a good example of how you can chase down certain prompts to kind of achieve this effect for sort of stock analysis. Now, you can do more robust things where you ask for like tables of data, and we could ask for some of those here. So we could give it a prompt like this. We could say, give me the past 10 days of high and low stock prices for Apple. And when I ask for this, it's I didn't explicitly say table. I'm kind of curious to see if if it'll just automatically give it to me in a table. I think it probably will. But if it doesn't, then we can just ask for all that information in a table. It should clear itself right up. All right, so we did get some response. We didn't get it in the table like we wanted, but it did give the high and low, then some more information. So, all you'd have to do is specify, hey, can you give me all that information in a table? And we'd be good to go. And then from there, we could take that, copy and paste it, put in whatever we want. But yeah, I hope this was helpful to you. If you want more content like this, subscribe, hit the like button, throw any questions you have in the comments, and thanks for watching.